Thanks for the introduction. I'll get started. So we are all excited about AI. We all want to use it. But it's actually a double-edged sword. It can be used, what can be used to create software, be your co-pilot in your coding, can also be used for cyber attacks. What can be used to create amazing videos, realistic videos, voice, images. The same technology can actually be also used for deepfakes. That means mimicking your personality, maybe stealing your data, etc. It can also be used as your health assistant. The same technology can also be used for creating biological and chemical hazards. Basically, if it knows now the technology that exists, for example, AlphaFold from DeepMind, the same technology can be actually used for gene manipulation and so on. So it's basically the first time ever in the history where a technology that has a lot of value, the same technology has also become the attack surface. And I will explain what attack surface mean in this talk in the later slides. But let's see what AI is capable of first, right? A lot of the things are futuristic, like chemical attack. Those are far, far away from now. But let's see what they are capable of right now. So OpenAI and DeepMind, they both defined AI intelligence in 5 levels. Level 1, which is like chatbots. You can think about Alexa, Siri. Those were the times. I was also involved in building Alexa. That era was before 2020. That was chatbots. Then came reasoners, where now this L2 and beyond usually happened after transformers predominantly. So now you can use LLMs or AI for doing deep research, for writing your code. They can reason. Of course, they may not be as good as humans, but they can reason for sure. They may hallucinate, of course, a lot of times, but it's still not as detrimental or in terms of impact, as in terms of safety or security. Right now, we are between level 2 and level 3. We are not at level 3. Level 3 is about agents. This year, and I think the next 2 years will be about agents. Agents will get more and more accurate. Agents are now getting everywhere. So agents, one example on that one, a good example will be Manus. It's not just about building simple agents. Agents can do or should do autonomous tasks. You just give them tasks, and they're able to do a task with 95, 99% accuracy. I think right now for complex tasks, today the accuracy will be around 70, 80%. But still, I think the next 2 years, we will get to, cover this gap by a significant margin. L4 will be innovators. I think this will start happening 27, 28, and beyond. In fact, the early signs of that has already begun. DeepMind has built models which are really good at scientific discovery, medical discovery. AlphaFold was one example that I mentioned. In fact, recently, in the past 1 month itself, around 2 to 3 labs have been funded hundreds of millions of dollars just for scientific innovation, or creating the next generation of AI scientists. So I think between 27, 28 to 2030, we'll see a lot of AI scientists doing extremely specialized work. Again, it could be used against humanity, but of course, it has a lot of value as well. And of course, the long term will be L5, which is like Jarvis or Cortana from movie Halo. Basically, AI, which is a single organization. Essentially, what it means is that I don't need to build, let's say if I have an idea, I want to build a company, I want to solve a problem, I don't need to build a big team of engineers or HR or IT or whatever, right? Or if I have a problem, it's not just about the company. If I want to solve a problem which can be addressed with AI, I can literally just use the AI as a single person, right? So single person becomes the organization. And of course, in Iron Man, we have seen that Iron Man used to use Jarvis for a lot of the tasks, for doing research, for finance, et cetera, et cetera. And I think same thing will happen eventually. Not immediately, but I think as AI becomes more and more capable, I think starting 2080, 2028, 2029, 2030, we'll see a lot of this happening more and more so. So that's the capabilities about AI. But this talk is not just about AI capabilities. It's about the safety and security issues which comes with capabilities. So if you look at level 1, which I showed in the previous slide, we realized that when ChatGPT came in 2023, 2022, we saw that the models can be used to generate extremely realistic or human-like data. That means a person who wants to steal your data or send you some phishing email, they can write very realistic or personalized email. They can research, they can use web to research, know about you, and write an extremely personalized email, which people get deceived. In fact, phishing is still or email phishing or social engineering is the #1 source of all vulnerabilities or cyber attacks today. And thanks to technologies like ChatGPT or LLMs, this is happening. So that was the the first level of the vulnerabilities or security issues that we could see happening through the advanced AI. If we saw last year we got a lot of realistic video or audio generation or image generation system. Now that led to building deep fakes or creating or causing personalized fraud. Like you might have received calls mimicking, hey, I'm your bank admin trying to get your data, whatever, right? We know that these are spam calls. Or sometimes AI is mimicking you and then trying to steal your data. And that could not have happened without the technology that started appearing, starting 2024 or 2023, creating extremely realistic voice cloning, applications across the various attack vectors. So that happened, say, starting last year. This year, we're seeing lots and lots of autonomous agents. Basically, previously, if you look at all the cyber attacks or vulnerabilities, they used to be manual in the sense that there will be experts, hackers, they will try to steal your data or do whatever with it. And that required a lot of manual input. It involved a lot of expertise. For example, a person who knows how to perform endpoint attacks, a person who knows how to do network attacks, a person who knows how to do data exfiltration. There were specialized people like that. Now, all of that is being replaced with LLMs and with agents. So agents that we use for a variety of tasks, for writing emails, financial documents, whatever we do in coding, I think the same technology now can be used to sort of create or cause autonomous attacks, steal your data, and do all kinds of things. In fact, on the dark web, there are now LLMs. Some examples are Worm GPT, Dark GPT, Fraud GPT. They exist. Like someone who wants to steal the data, if they want, for example, if you use ChatGPT, Anthropic, or Gemini, they will try not to create the data or vulnerabilities because they know someone is trying to misuse it. They have aligned the models to not behave in a certain way. But if you look at these models on dark web, Dark GPT, Fraud GPT, Worm GPT, they are exactly designed for this task. And someone who has access to these models are actually available on the web. On dark web, you can rent, you can pay by consumption, you can pay for a year, whatever, right? So these models are available. So people who want to misuse AI, they are using these models on dark web for doing all kind of attacks. I think starting 25 or 27 and so on, we will see a lot of early signs of catastrophic attacks, or catastrophic outcomes, which I don't think will be as big as many of the researchers think or people discuss. It's, I think, more of a long term, but we'll see early sign or early capabilities. For example, if you look at recent models, Claude 4.5, Gemini, or ChatGPT 5, you will see that they have these capabilities of sabotaging or self-preserving. By that, what it means is that if you give LLM or AI the full power, full capability to perform a task, and if someone wants to stop it or try to enforce to not do certain things, it will actually try to sabotage you. Now think about the same technology. If it gets in the hands of people who want to misuse this, they will actually take control of your computers, systems, software, hardware, whatever system, small scale, large scale, phones, and they will try to leverage LLM to actually take control and sabotage the user or the person who owns that system or who owns the phone itself. So that's what is going to happen with, I don't wish that to happen, but technology will enable these kind of use cases. And I think many people think that it will lead to global destabilization. I think that is more of very long-term potentially. I'm sure as a society we'll build systems to sort of safeguard and ensure that does not happen. But we can see early signs of it starting to happen. Like people have seen that AI has been used for manipulating some kind of elections. Again, it has not happened at large scale, but with deep fakes, with very personalized data, if I know that X person is on the right side of, or let's say, I just want to call Democrats or Republican, so you can use AI to actually influence them, or by showing the content which is extremely, extremely personalized. We know that is happening, but the same technology will make it 100x better, right? So that's the way I think AI, emerging levels of AI, with emerging level of AI, we will see different levels of threat or attack surface, as that's what they call in cybersecurity. Now, as I mentioned, it's not just theory. Actually, it is happening right now. So if you look at in 2020, if you look at all the attacks that used to happen, that time in 2020, it used to be machine learning models, ML models, or random forest, deep SVM, or even early RNNs, recurrent neural networks. But point is that in 2020 and before, the amount of attacks where machine learning was used, that was only 10%. But if you look at today, almost 30% of all attacks involve some kind of AI. That means that if there is 100 billion lost, which usually is, if you look at the amount of money or economy lost because of cyber attacks, it's in trillions every year. So if you look at that, almost 30% of that is happening because of AI. So people are misusing this, using AI or misusing AI for these kind of attacks, causing trillions of dollars to economy. Now, if you look at the 2030, or let's say 2035, which is 10 years from now, almost 90% of all the attacks will be driven by AI. That means, I mentioned that there will be a single person running the organization. We will see similar flavors with AI as well. A single person or single organization will control would be able to manage a lot of massive scale attacks, right? Let's talk about the real data. So if you look at about AI cyber attacks, as I mentioned, there are attacks available on dark web, like Worm GPT, Fraud GPT. These models are available. People are buying them. In fact, there was a model or a malware called LameHug. This came from APT28 group from Russia, or Russia Link group, and they used Quen 2.5, which is one of the state-of-the-art open source model for data exfiltration from Ukrainian government. And we are seeing more and more of this is happening with AI models being available, open source or even closed source. They can be used for a variety of causing a variety of attacks, and that is happening. In fact, another example I want to give is around deepfakes. Last year, an executive, I think in Taiwan, if I'm not wrong, was there was a fraud that happened because of deepfakes, which led to almost 25.6 million heist. So what happened was there was a team, and someone used deepfake or created deepfake of CFO and used that to transfer $25 million, and the team actually transferred it. And then they later on realized it was actually a deepfake. It was not the CFO, real CFO. So this is what is happening, and we have to address that, but that's what is happening. We're also seeing a lot of sextortion. This does not only have financial implications, also social implications. We are seeing a lot of this thing happening for causing sextortion, especially in countries like India, where it is being used to actually create a lot of fraud or these kind of activities. Now, if you look at the defense and physical security or defense and physical risk, see, AI is not limited to digital security or safety issues. It is also related to physical security. So if you look at, we are now seeing AI-powered drones. In fact, Ukraine used AI-powered drones to annihilate the fleet, Russian fleet, that happened recently. So AI is being used now to perform large-scale attacks or large-scale fleets. And same thing, weaponization of robots is also happening. So we know that there are robots such as humanoids, companies like Boston Dynamics, Agility, they have made their robots available. The APIs are public. So actually people can literally do anything with those robots. A physical robot I can buy. I have access to the APIs, and I can actually, if I get access to the API, I can do whatever, I can make that robot do whatever I want physically. So those kind of things are also happening very early, because the adoption of physical robots or these systems have not happened at scale, but that is definitely possible with access of APIs and technology. And as I mentioned, existential and catastrophic risks, AI-powered bio-threats are now possible. AlphaFold 3 from Gemini could be misused for that. And as I mentioned, AI itself could lead to sabotaging and self-preserving. So we are seeing that early signs of it's actually happening, not just theory. Now I'd like to dive deep onto different kinds of risks, AI risks. So if you look at AI, or if I were to map this entire AI risk into some categories, there are usually, I can map it into 5 classes. First one is misalignment. Let's say if there's an LLM or if there's a AI, someone can actually make the model, make it very good at performing fraud. That's what alignment means. Basically, whenever OpenAI or Gemini or Anthropic train a model, what they do is they basically make the model align to certain values. They will, if someone asks how to create a bomb, if someone asks how to create a fraud or write a phishing email, they will not. or they will try not to. And that happens via alignment. And same model, the same technology can be used for misalignment. That means I have access to the model. Someone can actually make it train to perform fraud, to perform deepfakes. That's exactly what warm GPT, dark GPT is. We spoke about that, and that's the misalignment piece. Now, the second one actually is deception and persuasion. Basically, AI can make you feel it's real. It can actually deceive you. That examples I covered, but that's another category within the AI risk. The third one is cybersecurity and privacy, stealing the data, data exfiltration, getting access to your customers' data, all of that. The popular use cases in cybersecurity, which means physical attacks, networks, taking control of your devices, stealing your data, all of those use cases, classic use cases, they all are happening with AI now. The fourth category is misinformation and bias. This is the example which I spoke about, which involves sort of using AI for political advantages or misuse or creating some kind of misinformation. So that's another category. And of course, the last one is existential and catastrophic. I don't think anyone knows what will happen, but of course, that is one category that we have to put into. I think the biggest one there will be bio attacks and chemical attacks. Now, let's talk about the current risk. I mean, what I showcased before is more like high level, and some of that actually is very futuristic. But let's talk about what we see today. What is the problem today? So what we're seeing with AI is that AI is being used for data privacy breaches. The examples that I gave around the misinformation or the exfiltration, which that APT28 group used to exfiltrate data from Ukrainian government, those are all data privacy issues. The same actually is happening around customer level data. Stealers or the people who want to steal your data, they're trying to steal your social security number, your address, your phone number, your date of birth, etc. That all belongs to data privacy breaches. The second category is around bias and fairness issues, which I mentioned. Of course, AI can be used to, AI can be very biased. It could be biased towards certain type of people or certain category, certain segment, which we know. The early days of ChatGPT was full of that. But of course, now the models are becoming more and more neutral. But that is also another example which is happening now. This, again, usually is a risk for certain identities or certain groups, which should be addressed before it gets worse. Then you have hallucinations. This we all have seen. AI can actually make up stuff. In fact, I think recently a government actually used one of the leading consulting firms to and gave them millions of dollars to create a report, and it was all full of hallucination, just hallucinations. So essentially, so when you use AI, when you use these tools, it is very important to understand and see whether the data, the facts actually are accurate or not, and if LLM can be used to create or create a fictional data, it can also be used to impact or create strategies which are against the enterprise or organizations or at personal level. And of course, what's happening is FOMO factor. Essentially, every organization wants to use AI, which is making them rush and perform tasks in a very unsafe manner, which could impact the companies, the organizations, millions or hundreds of billions of dollars. And that is actually happening. So in fact, let's talk about AI agents. That is probably the biggest risk in my mind today. So AI agents are much better than humans in terms of scanning vulnerabilities. For example, today we use AI for writing code, writing applications. The same technology can be used to scan the code and identify the vulnerabilities and then misuse them. So what hackers or what people who want to misuse this, what they're doing is they're trying to get access to your system, and then they're scanning your code, finding all kinds of vulnerabilities through your website, through your applications, through your backend, through your system. And once they know these kind of vulnerabilities, they will misuse that and perform some kind of attack. This used to be a manual job before, or using some rules, but that is all being replaced with LLMs, and which helps them make it autonomous, and therefore make it much faster and smarter, to perform much smarter and much faster breaches. That is actually the second point. Essentially, humans, when they used to perform these tasks to steal the data or perform some kind of, address some kind of vulnerability, it was slower. But now, because there are LLMs, they can actually iterate, they can perform the same action 10 times, they can actually change the behavior, or they can perform the same action in a different way, with which it's becoming much more difficult to identify them, stop them, and actually perform. Even if you won't even know actually this thing has happened. And many of these tasks, in fact, recently Cisco attack happened on Cisco network firewalls, which is of course one of the best firewalls in the world. And for months and months, government was not able to find, or would not even able to find this thing was happening actually. So with AI agents, this is exactly what is happening. In fact, there's a concept of zero-day attacks. I'm sure some of you would know that. Zero-day attack means it's a new attack, which was never discovered before, which was never known before. And LLMs are capable of creating or discovering them, and therefore misusing them. The next thing is something called supply chain attacks. Supply chain attacks, what it means is that let's say if I use Slack as a software, or if I use Jira as a software, now there could be vulnerability within Slack system, or some version of Slack, or some version of Ubuntu, or some version of software which my enterprise uses, and hackers they can actually misuse that particular vulnerability with the software that I use, and from there they're able to get access to my system. So that kind of attack is called supply chain, because it's not coming from you. It's dependent on the tools that you use. And of course, AI is pretty good at that. They just need to know what version of software you use, what software you use. And with that, they are able to do any kind of misuse or the activity which should not be performed. And of course, this fourth point is we'll see more of that maybe starting next year or beyond, which is AI will be used, or agents will be used to hack the infrastructure. Essentially, you are seeing, we saw that AI can actually scan your system. Now think about their keys. If they happen to get access to keys, they can literally take over your entire infra, which could be on AWS, GCP, and then they can actually manage the entire infra, and literally you won't be able to do any of those things. So we are seeing more and more of that is happening now, but that's the impact of AI agents, which is more prominently happening now. Now, I spoke about FOMO in the enterprises and organizations to use AI. Exactly what's happening is that because of FOMO for use or AI adoption, they are creating, or enterprises are deploying applications which are actually dangerous. In fact, what's happening is that enterprises don't even assess the risk associated with any application, AI application which they deploy, which leads to data breaches and all kinds of issues. So some of these things are overblown, but a lot of those things is happening. If you use an LLM, you should not use LLM just right away. In fact, there are many companies which do something called red teaming. They will scan your models. They will scan the LLMs that you use just to make sure that, or scan your agents. In fact, Palo Alto acquired a company called Protect AI a few months ago. And the goal of that company used to do is it used to protect the AI. Essentially, that's the goal. You scan the model, you scan the data to identify all the vulnerabilities associated with the system that you use, which is AI system. And so if enterprises, if they are, or if you are one of the CISO or someone who is security analyst or responsible for safety and security, you should make sure that before using any AI, the system should be, it's secure, right? You should not just blindly use it. And I think you got the gist of it, but the issues are not just related to AI models. The same thing can also goes to AI agents that you might deploy, or AI tools that you use. For example, I might use Slack Copilot or Microsoft Copilot or whatever, right? Even sometimes vulnerability could exist there as well. So you have to holistically scan the entire system, not just the models, your data, but also the integrations that you use. And this is creating a much bigger market for cybersecurity. People who are in cybersecurity, it's a future. But again, this is a big risk for all of us. Now, let's talk about, we spoke about a lot of security issues, safety issues with AI, but let's talk about how it is being addressed, or historically how people used to address this. So we know that there's this concept of LLM guardrails. Basically, if I use an application, I make sure that I put LLM guardrail or guardrail LLM before my model generates some output. So let's say if I have a system and I have a customer support bot, before my bot responds to my customers, I basically have a guardrail which checks whether my LLM is generating the data or releasing the data which customer has access to or not. Like, it should not be releasing internal data. It should not be releasing some kind of PII. It should not be releasing any kind of unsafe data or confidential data. So you have to put guardrails to make sure that people have access to or are seeing the data, or application is generating data which is what it is meant to be. So that is performed via LLM guardrails. And before that, we used to have traditional classifiers like SVM, XGBoost, or those systems to actually for different tasks. But the problem with those systems is that you have to manage many of those, like thousands of classifiers, hundreds of classifiers, and that, of course, is not manageable for smaller startups or mid-sized startups. Maybe for large companies, but it's still painful. All of that is being replaced with LLMs now. LLMs can be used to manage and perform many, many applications, which typically used to be done with rule-based system or traditional classifiers or signature-based system. One more thing I want to cover is signature-based system, which is the rightmost corner bottom. So previously, or before LLMs, what used to happen is, there is this database of all kind of vulnerabilities in the world, like whatever known vulnerabilities. There's a database called CVE, Common Vulnerabilities Exposures, I think, and it has like hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of vulnerabilities, which spans across software, across systems for the past 30, 40 years. So now what happens is that because we know all the vulnerabilities, historical vulnerabilities, we can actually assign some kind of signature to it. So if there's an attack which is being performed, you can assign some signature. Now what with AI, that is, and that used to work. And there have been many companies which have addressed that, but all of that is being replaced with AI. What AI is doing now is AI can actually change the signature. If it will actually take the malware, it will update the malware, and with that, the signature changes, and therefore, it can be used, and it's very hard to capture now with AI. And that is the limitation of current techniques. They are not scalable. They are not addressed. They are not ready for catastrophic risk, as I mentioned. They're dependent on humans. And of course, they require lots and lots of resources. Managing thousands of classifiers is not feasible. That's the existing issues with or historical models. All of that is being addressed with the state-of-the-art techniques today, or at least the state-of-the-art techniques for addressing these risks today are listed in this slide. So basically, as I mentioned, the same LLM which can be used to create some kind of vulnerability, it can be used to prevent it. So there are these AI security copilots or guardrails, like Microsoft Security Copilot or CrowdStrike or Palo Alto Networks. They all have security copilots. I think if you're a security analyst or some enterprise who's interested in safety and security, you should leverage these models, AI-powered models, or copilots in your system. The same thing can also do something called, can send you alerts. Like it can analyze all of your alerts to like every day, every hour, and then identify, prioritize them, and identify or sends you notification around the most critical vulnerabilities, which you should fix, and therefore minimizes human work significantly. Then they can also perform something called red teaming. Red teaming is basically, as I mentioned, it's like offense AI. I can use AI and scan my system and identify all kind of vulnerabilities by creating attacks, by simulating attacks. That all is red teaming, and AI can do that, which you should do if you are building such kind of system. LLMs, of course, are way better than classical models in anomaly detection, in identifying all kind of rare scenarios, which was very difficult with previous models. And of course, you can use that to create, the same LLM can also be used for fuzzing. Essentially, you can always make API, you can dynamically change your APIs, you can dynamically change your keys with LLMs, which was not possible before, and therefore it can help secure your systems. And of course, with all these AI copilots, you can secure your entire stack. I mean, I'm running out of time, but I would want to spend more time on this slide. But the main thing is that same technology which is being used for offense can also be used for defense, and you should rely on these copilots to address these things. So in conclusion, what I want to say is that AI is a big opportunity. It's a $1 trillion opportunity for all of us. But the same technology can also be, is being used for misuse, or is being misused for attacks, for security issues, causing security vulnerabilities. We have to balance both the innovation, the advancement, along with security and safety. The real focus should not be on catastrophic. That's all very theoretical, but it should be on the issues which are happening today, such as cyber attacks or agents or identity. Traditional techniques are not working, so we should actually use AI, copilots, or LLMs for safeguarding our systems. So that's what I have to share today. Happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Chandra.
Hi. So I'm curious, what have you seen worked really against these evasion techniques? So normally I've been doing a lot of red teaming at Kaiser Permanente against our chatbot. So normally what I would do is I would jailbreak like GPT or stuff, and then I say, write me 1,000 versions of this attack, prompt injection attack and whatever. And then what I normally would do is to kind of evade the guardrails is I would say, okay, write a portion of this in Elvish or Klingon, or do emoji smuggling, or like there's stuff from Hazy Labs do the bring your own encoding, right? What have you seen successful to detect these evasion techniques?
So for prompt, and I'm assuming your question is more around prompt injection and trying to do a lot of those things. If you look at the early days of prompt injection, it was very easy to jailbreak the models. In fact, both for offense as well as for defense. Now they're getting much and much better, but there are open source models which are equally powerful, and I can misalign them and then misuse them. So the best way is to always fine tune them, do some kind of RL updates. I think prompt engineering alone will not fix it. So we have to generate lots and lots of data and update the model. In fact, one more thing that is happening is you can create an agent which, like more like a evaluator, which just annotates every interaction every day, and anything which goes beyond certain confidence, let's say 0.9, 0.8, let humans scan and then use that for training. So I think that's what is happening. In fact, recently, even OpenAI released a model, I think 2 days ago, GPT says sort of this guardrails itself. But I think, and they have come up with a policy, you can actually use the policy to update it. Now, the same model can also be fine-tuned, which is what I think is a long-term solution. Extremely long-term, I think people will have to build frontier safety and security model. That's what I'm doing actually in my next startup. But the idea is that I think to defend AI, you have to, you cannot defend AI with the same AI, same technology. You have to build an AI which is equally powerful, but for defense. So that will be the future, I think. But immediately, if for now, what is capable, what is accessible, it's just fine-tuning and RL policy updates.
Thank you so much, Chandra. Let's give a big round of applause for Chandra. Thanks for the insight.
Thank you.